The dog everyone ignored. The dog everyone chased away. The dog everyone believed was worthless would one day become someone's greatest miracle. But on the cold streets of that quiet neighborhood, no one could see it yet, because to them, he was just another homeless dog. And every single day, the world reminded him of that. At the edge of a quiet suburban street stood a large iron gate. Behind it was an old house surrounded by tall trees, cracked pavement, and a small metal shed leaning against the wall beside the gate. Every night, when the city lights dimmed and people closed their doors, a thin German shepherd slowly walked toward that gate. His ribs showed through his fur, his legs trembled from hunger, and his eyes carried the silent exhaustion of a soul that had been rejected too many times. No collar, no home, no name, just another forgotten life wandering the streets. During the day, he searched through garbage piles, hoping to find something, anything to eat. Sometimes it was a stale piece of bread, sometimes half a rotten sandwich, and many days, nothing at all. People walked past him like he didn't exist. Some chased him away. Some threw stones. Some shouted angrily if he came too close. No one ever stopped. No one ever cared. But every night, no matter how far he wandered during the day, he always returned to the same place, that iron gate. Under the small metal shed beside it, it was the only thing he had to a little shelter from the wind. It was the closest thing he had to a home. But unfortunately, the owner of that house hated him. Inside that house lived a 65-year-old man named Victor. Victor had once been known as a strong, hard-working man, but years of loneliness, bitterness, and anger had turned his heart cold. His wife had passed away long ago. His children lived in different cities, and slowly, the world around him had become silent. But instead of becoming gentle, Victor became cruel. He hated noise, he hated interruptions, and most of all, he hated that dog sleeping beside his gate. Every morning when Victor opened the gate, he would see the German shepherd curled up beneath the shed, and instantly, rage filled his face. "Get out of here!" he would shout. Before the dog could even stand properly, Victor would grab a wooden stick kept near the gate, and then whack, whack, whack. The stick rained down on the poor dog's fragile body. The German shepherd would cry out in pain, scrambling to his feet, running away as fast as his weak legs could carry him. His whimpers echoed down the street, but Victor didn't care. To him, it was just a filthy stray. Yet something strange kept happening. No matter how badly he was beaten, no matter how far he ran, every night the dog came back. Slowly, quietly, he curled himself under the shed again, like a broken soldier returning to the same battlefield. Perhaps because even pain was better than freezing on the open streets, or maybe because deep down, he still believed this place might someday accept him. But Victor's cruelty didn't stop. Some days he threw stones, some days he chased the dog down the road, and one night Victor did something far worse. It was a cold evening. The wind howled through the neighborhood. The German shepherd had curled into a tight ball under the shed, shivering as he tried to sleep. Victor stepped outside carrying a metal pot. Inside it, steaming water boiled violently. He looked down at the sleeping dog with disgust. "Let's see if you come back after this," he muttered. And then he poured the boiling water directly onto the dog. The dog screamed. A piercing cry filled the silent street. He jumped up in agony, his skin burning, his body shaking as he ran blindly into the darkness. For a moment, Victor watched him disappear. Then he simply turned around and walked back inside, as if nothing had happened.
Days passed. The shed remained empty. Victor felt strangely satisfied. Finally, the nuisance was gone. But the quiet nights felt different. Too quiet, too empty. Victor ignored the feeling until one night, something happened that would change everything. It was past midnight. The street was silent. The moon hung behind thick clouds. Inside the house, Victor slept heavily in his chair in the living room. Suddenly, crash! A loud sound shattered the silence. Victor's eyes snapped open. Before he could react, the front door burst open. 3 masked men rushed inside. Burglars. They had been watching the house for days. They knew an old man lived alone. Easy target, easy money. Victor tried to shout, but one of the men punched him violently. Another grabbed him and threw him to the floor. They kicked him repeatedly. His vision blurred. Pain exploded through his ribs. "Where's the safe?" one of them growled. Victor couldn't answer. Another punch landed on his face. Blood spread across the floor. The burglars began tearing through the house, breaking drawers, smashing cabinets, stealing anything valuable. Victor lay helpless, barely conscious. Outside, in the darkness near the gate, something moved. A familiar shape slowly approached. The German Shepherd. Despite his wounds, despite the burns still healing on his body, he had returned, just like every other night. He quietly walked toward the shed, but then he heard something. Shouting, crashing, pain. The dog froze. His ears lifted. His instincts awakened. Something was wrong, very wrong. Without hesitation, he pushed through the slightly open door of the house. Inside, chaos, the smell of fear, the smell of blood, and 3 strangers attacking the man who lived here. The same man who had beaten him, the same man who had burned him. For a moment, the dog stood there, watching, silently. The burglars hadn't noticed him yet. Victor lay on the floor, barely breathing. But then, one of the thieves raised a metal bar, ready to strike Victor again. And in that moment, something powerful awakened inside the dog. Not anger, not revenge, but something deeper. Loyalty, protection, instinct. Before anyone could react, the German Shepherd lunged forward. A thunderous growl exploded from his chest. He slammed into one of the burglars like a force of nature. The man screamed as sharp teeth clamped onto his arm. Another burglar swung at the dog with a chair, but the dog dodged and attacked again, fierce, relentless, like a guardian spirit refusing to back down. The house filled with chaos. "Get this dog off me," one thief shouted in panic. The German Shepherd barked furiously, teeth flashing, eyes blazing with determination. Despite being weak, despite being injured, he fought like a warrior. And suddenly, the burglars realized something terrifying. This was not an ordinary stray. This dog would not stop. Fear replaced their confidence. Within seconds, they grabbed what little they could and ran toward the door. "Forget it, let's go." They fled into the night, leaving behind silence. The dog stood there, breathing heavily. The fight was over. Slowly, he turned toward Victor. The old man struggled to open his eyes. Through blurred vision, he saw the dog standing beside him. The same dog he had beaten, the same dog he had burned, the same dog he had chased away every day. But tonight, that dog had saved his life. Victor's chest tightened. A wave of guilt crashed over him. For the first time in years, tears filled his eyes. The dog slowly walked closer, carefully, gently. He sniffed Victor's face as if checking if he was alive. Victor lifted a trembling hand. For a moment, the dog flinched. Years of pain had taught him what human hands usually meant. But this time, Victor didn't strike. Instead, he softly placed his hand on the dog's head. "I'm sorry," he whispered weakly. His voice broke. "I'm so sorry." The dog looked at him quietly, and then he leaned his head against Victor's chest, not with fear, not with anger, but with forgiveness.
That night, everything changed. Victor called for help. Ambulances arrived. Police took reports. The burglars were eventually caught. But the biggest change wasn't the robbery. It was what happened afterward. Victor refused to let the dog leave. He took him to a veterinarian immediately. The burns were treated. His wounds were cleaned. He was fed proper food for the first time in who knows how long. And for the first time in his life, the German Shepherd slept inside a warm home. Victor gave him a name, Guardian, because that's exactly what he had been. A guardian who protected even the man who had hurt him. Weeks turned into months. Guardian grew stronger. His fur became healthy. His eyes became bright. He no longer searched garbage for food. He no longer shivered under a metal shed. Instead, he walked proudly beside Victor every morning. The neighbors watched in amazement. The same man who once beat that dog now spoke to him like family. Victor built a comfortable bed near the fireplace. He cooked special meals for Guardian. They took long walks together. For the first time in years, Victor's house was no longer silent. There was laughter, there was companionship, there was life again. And slowly, the bitterness in Victor's heart faded. Guardian had done more than save his life. He had saved his soul. Years later, people in the neighborhood often saw an old man sitting on his porch. Beside him, a loyal German Shepherd resting peacefully. Victor would gently scratch behind the dog's ears and smile. Sometimes he whispered quietly, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Because the truth was simple. The dog everyone rejected, the dog everyone ignored, had brought love back into a lonely man's life. And every night before sleeping, Victor looked at Guardian and thanked God. Not for the house, not for the money, but for a second chance given by a dog who knew how to forgive. Because sometimes the ones we treat the worst are the very ones sent to save us. If this story moved you, like the video, comment respect for this dog, and subscribe for more incredible animal stories, because sometimes the heroes of this world walk on 4 legs.